dream.
It's one small step for man.
I am the greatest.
You want something, go get it. Period.
Mark, it's great to have you on the podcast now to dive deep. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no worries. Thank you.
Yeah. So as I always like to tee off, as though I'm a stranger, you say partially I am. I know we recently met, but if you could explain for those who don't know you at all, like strangers, a kind of brief summary of what you do, where you're at, and your focus in life when it comes to work.
Sure. My name is Mark Beardsley. I'm a lifelong New Jersey resident, if you can't tell by my accent.
Yeah.
But basically my entire professional life has been in the pharmaceutical industry. So, in college, my degree was medical technology. I came out, I worked in the hospital setting for a little bit in microbiology and chemistry, immunohematology. Always had a passion for the sciences that was instilled in me by some teachers I had in high school. There came a point when I was working in a laboratory that I had the opportunity to interact with a number of the salespeople that would come in and sell us the capital equipment we were using, the analyzers, the consumables, and probe them and pick their brains a little bit about what they do and how they got where they are. And it sounded very interesting to me. So I pursued the pharmaceutical world. At that time, it was 1999. Pharma was never bigger, huge sales forces. You could throw a dart at the NASDAQ and hit something that went up $5 the next day. It was a crazy time. And I didn't have any sales experience. And this small company called Everett Laboratories, based here on the East Coast in New Jersey, gave me a shot. And 22 years later, I was still there. So it's been a long, crazy road, a lot of progressive opportunities, from sales to sales management to sales leadership, sales training opportunities. And it's been very rewarding, and what I would like to think is mutually beneficial for myself and my employer.
Yeah, absolutely. Perform well. I know sales, my dad has been in that for 35, even 40 years, selling things from steel to windows to patios. And sales can be tough if you don't have the correct format and you just don't go at it with a very detached mind. So what have you, like from the start to where you are now, being in it so long, what are some of the main things you've seen yourself progress in that you would advise someone starting off in the field to keep in mind?
Yeah, no, and depending on what industry you're in, sales can be quite different. Business to business sales is a different sale than pharmaceuticals. But nevertheless, the competencies needed are pretty much the same. What you sell is different, but how you sell is what differentiates you in today's marketplace. See, information is bigger and better than it's ever been, right? Most of our customers don't come to us to find out about our products anymore. They find about that, on Google or online or whatever they're going to do, right? And then they come to us to see if they want to buy from us. But if it's not us, they'll go find it someplace else. We're a commodity. What we sell is a commodity. So what differentiates today's salesperson, and the advice I'd say to today's people coming into sales today, is to really hone the soft skills, right? Yeah, you need the hard skills in terms of how to prospect and, how to follow a selling model and a sales process and how to close and negotiate, of course. But in today's day and age, it's about going in and being able to connect with the customer through your communication skills, through your empathy, through your listening skills, through your ability to develop relationships and put the customer first. This is what truly differentiates salespeople. We've all interacted with salespeople that we have had horrible experiences with, and it's because you can tell that you're not the important part. It's their commission that's the important part, right? But when you're with a salesperson to where you really feel valued and being listened to and heard, and that they're trying to find the best solution for you, then that's a good sales experience, a win-win for both sides. So in today's day and age, you really need to have that balance, even more so, maybe 70-30 in terms of the soft skill approach versus the hard skill selling approach.
Right. Yeah. I went to a couple of car dealerships recently because I'm trying to buy a car. And I'm in Texas, and I'm not to say like North Jersey people are better than Texas people, but I don't know, something down here, there's a lot of snake oil salesmen, but especially the car industry, because the supply is so low and people aren't buying cars. So whenever they have someone walk in the door, they're like, I want to sell them, and they're focused on their commission and their money. So I can see that directly to what you're saying, like a prime example in my life recently where I felt like I was in the center of it. I didn't have a good experience at all. And no, the salespeople didn't work with me to try to get me what I wanted.
Yeah, and that's the key. Like you could go to any car dealership and buy a car, right? It's not about, that. You say, okay, I want a Honda Accord. Okay. So you go to a Honda dealer and you meet Joe, the salesman, but you can go to any Honda dealer and meet any salesman who you're going to make your decision emotionally because you've already invested yourself in the Honda Accord. I like the body or the fuel economy or the safety profile or whatever, right? The objective measures of the vehicle. You have that. You've done that research. You're going to buy from the person you have an emotional connection to. So that person that fits within your story. So if you as a salesperson can create that story and create that emotional connection, you're going to win a lot more sales.
Yeah, the sales, the way you put it as well, makes me think of even marketing. Like a lot of what you do is the marketing experience, because I have my own marketing agency and I do a lot of brand stuff with the company I'm at now. And it's like the customer relationship is the main thing. So it's like marketing is always sales, or if you want to put it the other way, like sales is kind of always marketing in a sense. You're marketing a product or service or yourself for the customer.
Yeah. The marketing comes in terms of the positioning, right? You have your product, but how do you position your product in the marketplace to where you can stand out? And, then the sales is the message behind the positioning. Why are you where you are? What differentiates you? What's in it for me as the consumer going to buy your product? Why do I want to be loyal to your brand? Right. And that's where marketing comes in, to create that position to where when I think of this, I think of you. Right. So, Google is a prime example of that. Google is just, a brand, but it became synonymous with where I go to find information. Right. And so, that's ideal, right? That's the goal of any company, is to have that brand to where you become synonymous with whatever it is that person is looking for in that space.
Right. Exactly. And I know for a while you weren't even just in sales. You went to the point of like teaching others how to sell well. It's like, sales enablement. What was that like? And like, what is your process to teach people? Is it different for everyone, or is there a format to it?
Yeah, no, and it's a good question. When you're in sales as a salesperson, your focus is small. It's on you and your performance in your territory. And then when you go into sales management, first line management, now you're responsible for 10, 12 people. So your scope gets a little bigger. You have to get your work done through others, right? And help elevate their performance and coach them on how to improve what they're doing out there in the field. But then when you become a sales leader, it's this constant application of keeping an eye on what's going on with the business, identifying where the pain points are, identifying your opportunities, putting a finger on your weaknesses, and the typical SWOT analysis on how to run a business, right? But the common thread is continuous improvement. So when you have that mindset, whether you're a leader or a coach or a sales rep, you're always wanting to learn more about how to be better at doing what you do. And so that transition into sales training from sales leadership is an easy one, because you're constantly looking to help elevate the performance of the entire team, which obviously helps elevate the bottom line of the company, right? So enablement and effectiveness are kind of two different things. Enablement is readiness, if you will. It's preparing the sales team and the salespeople to go out and be effective in front of the customer. So it starts with the people that you're bringing in. In terms of the whole organization needs to be strategically aligned, get together about what competencies are needed for us to perform well, and then hiring for those competencies. And And then, also the cultural fit is important in terms of the organization and the leadership and what you're looking to do. You need to have people that have great competencies, but also fit what you're trying to do from a cultural standpoint. So people is an important part of enablement. But then skills, this is where training comes in. Now you have the people, now you need to make sure that there's a robust training and development program in place for those soft skills, for those hard skills, to make sure that when your people are in front of the customer, they are not only competent, but very confident in what they're doing and the conversations they're having. And then in tools, right? You got to make sure there's synergy between sales and marketing in terms of the systems you have in place with sales operations, your customer relationship management system, your learning management system, your data analytics, just the tools, technology you have to be able to run your business, but then also the master sales aids or the articles or the videos that you have to support your product. Make sure your sales reps are equipped with the tools they need at the time they need them to make the best impact in front of the customer. And then that constant feedback about what's working, what's not working, how do we improve this, based on that voice of the customer as well. And then, of course, the mindset. So you got the people, you got the skill set, you got the tool set, and then you got the mindset. And this is where incentive compensation comes in, performance management comes in. Your people want to know that they're going to go out and do what you ask them to do, but there are rewards there. There is recognition there. There's opportunities for advancement there if they do what you ask them to do. So this culture of performance and continuous improvement is one that needs to come from the top down. So that's enablement. But then once they go to the field, right, once they're enabled and they get out there in front of the customer, that's where effectiveness comes in. And that's where you need to make sure that your team is executing on a high level about everything that you went to market with, that strategy you went to market with, making sure the KPIs are being hit and checking in on them, holding people accountable, managers, sales reps, for doing what they've committed to do. And celebrating the small wins along the way, which is a big thing and a lot of companies don't do enough of. They're focused on that quarterly objective or that yearly objective, but yet weekly or monthly, there's opportunities to celebrate small wins and small performance, and it keeps people motivated. So, it's important to make sure your team is fully enabled to go to market, but then it's also equally, if not more important, to make sure that accountability is there and that effectiveness and execution is being followed up on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's like equipping the soldiers to go out into the field, as though you call it. Probably most definitely not as intense as a battlefield, but like getting the customers buy-in could be rather hard. Yeah, I thought of Kaizen, continuous improvement.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people talk about that. If anybody visits my LinkedIn profile, it's kind of my banner behind me, and it's really, something that is a key factor in where I am, professionally, and what I've been able to get to. I've always tried to be the example of what good looks like in whatever role I've had, so that people can say, that Mark, he's a sharp guy. He knows what he's talking about. You can't get anything past him. But yet at the same time, I'm constantly working to try to improve what I feel as though maybe weaknesses of my own. And trust me, I have them.
Right. Yeah. No, we all do. You're right. You're right. I think I was talking to some friends recently about this thing of, it's like binary. Like there's strength and weaknesses. There's this to that. There's black and white. So it's like, yes, be confident that you're excelling and that you're really great at what you do, but also humble to accept feedback as a company, but also as an individual salesperson to improve on your pitch and everything.
You said it perfectly. And that's one of the things that is difficult at times for salespeople. Sometimes people say, are salespeople made or are they born, right? And I think there's a little bit of both. In terms of, some people are just those soft skills come very inherently to them. That's the born part, right? You're born with that. Beautiful. That's wonderful. But you can also learn how to be more empathetic. You can also learn how to be, a better listener or be able to develop better relationships. And the hard skills anybody can learn. But the willingness or the ability to step back and be coached, that is something that not everybody comes with, right? Because there's a certain degree of bravado, of confidence that I know what I'm doing and I'm the lone wolf and I hit my numbers, leave me alone, right? There's these people on every sales team, but that's not the right attitude to have. It really isn't. And the more people you have on your team that are willing to accept coaching, the better that team is going to be in the long run.
Yeah, that's a great point of advice for those listening in, watching back, all of that. I love that. Even as someone in the business field, I resonate with that as we try to grow and scale up ourselves. But talked a lot about when it comes to sales within the business field, but when it comes to detaching for a little bit, to take a break, not necessarily get away because work should be something you enjoy, but more so like take a step back so you can come even more focused when you come back into work. What are some things you do to create silence for yourself or solitude for yourself, or those things where you don't have to focus on work and have it going in your mind all day?
You're 100% right. And, it's one of the things that you don't quite have an appreciation for when you're kind of just starting out in your career, because, we are a success obsessed culture, right? In that everybody wants to more, better,
Right.
Bigger, higher salary, bigger house, bigger car, whatever the case might be, bigger title. We're obsessed with this. And there's something called burnout and you don't recognize or realize that when you're 22, 23, and you have all the energy in the world, right? But when you hit a certain point, you can't take it anymore. You just can't. And physically things start to happen if in fact you don't have that outlet or opportunity to step away and reflect and rest. And for me, it's the outdoors. I'm a avid outdoorsman. Whenever I possibly can, I'm either hiking or hunting or fishing or camping. It's a bucket list thing of mine to step foot in all 63 national parks in this country. I've been in 16, I got a lot to go, but
Wow.
Just being outside, and whether it's any one of those things, elk hunting in Utah or Montana, on 11,000, 12,000 feet, just the personal pride and sense of accomplishment having done that, being here in New Jersey, a flatlander, right? Going up to that altitude with that equipment and just, pushing yourself physically like that but pushing yourself in a different way, right?
Yeah.
Is so personally gratifying. And then just to sit back and look at nature, it humbles you. And to see the birds and the animals and the fish and the trees and the lakes and the streams and on and on. Sit back and look at the Montana sky at night. I mean, it just humbles you to where you think you have your blinders on when you're in your day-to-day work, and you think that you are so important and so irreplaceable and you need to finish this at this deadline and it's so very important. But when you're out there and it's dead silent and you're just in this vastness of nature, you realize kind of how insignificant you are in the grand scheme of things, right? And realize and appreciate the opportunity that you have in the life that you have, and to just reflect on that personally and professionally, to say, I can take a break. What I'm doing is important, but it's not critical to the meaning to the world existence, right? Yes. So let me relax, let me take a breather, let me refocus and come back from this trip or whatever I'm doing to be able to be even more energized to do what I do even better.
Yeah, amen to that. I love that. With so your backgrounds are very meaningful, even on LinkedIn, and behind you now you have the flower. I think, what is that, like a painting?
Yeah, it's a painting, and it's a Tuscany kind of painting, like from Italy.
Oh, wow.
Fields and stuff like that. I mean, I in COVID, when everything hit, this was my workspace, right? So I was on Zoom all day, every single day. I just wanted a splash of color to look at, for crying out loud, right? Just something to brighten up everything. And so I found this piece, and I really kind of like it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I have one right here. I need some color as well. And the hunting point too, that spurred me up to think about that more, because that's a bucket list thing, is to, go out and camouflage and camp and then hunt something and bring it back. It's like getting yourself back into your roots, where now everything's delivered to us, very convenient, especially in America. It's nice to go out and, do something yourself when it comes to gathering food.
Yeah,
I don't know if you eat your game, but just hunting it is probably satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously it's one of those divisive issues. There's people who are very much against it and the people who are very much for it. To each his own. That's what's great about this country, is we have the opportunity to do kind of what we want to do, right? Within reason, we have the opportunity to choose. And, for those people who believe that, hunting is not the right thing to do, yeah, I support your ability to have that decision. I disagree with you. But to your point, it is, a very healthy, organic, sustainable protein source for me and my family. And, I'm not one of these trophy people that, just go out to harvest and put it on my wall. I consume everything that I harvest. So, whether it be fishing or hunting, and my entire family does. So, there is that sense of satisfaction there to be able to provide in that capacity. In today's hustle and bustle, to be able to step away, head into nature and do that is very personally rewarding for me.
Yeah. The point of things bigger than yourself really is important. I had one point I wanted to bring up that I'll just read verbatim here, but we touched on sales, touched on things outside of work. I love this one point from an article, which I can link in the description. He said there's a surprising link between church attendance and job satisfaction. This is more specifically pharmaceutical. It says pharmaceutical sales professional Mark Beardsley believes. So is, talking about things bigger than yourself, it's like going out into nature, getting away from work, seeing God's creation and just being like, okay, I'm not just, it's not just the world revolving around me, but also this point of church attendance. Was that just something you found personally, or you just saw like in everyone, like common theme amongst good salespeople?
Yeah, no, and it's another one of those things that came to me later in life that I didn't have an appreciation for earlier. In that, and it's, not just church attendance, right? It's more when you are involved in a church, you are a church member. You not only are, you go every Sunday, but you are, volunteering your time, being a part of the church, being a member of the church, being involved in small groups, and having that spiritual cornerstone to who you are as a person. It gives you, a greater sense of purpose, right? In terms of, and also who you are. And you recognize that, and start to have a greater appreciation for the things that you do have. And you're much more thankful for the things you do have, including your job. So many times you go to work and you hear people say on a Sunday, oh, I have to go to work tomorrow. Right. No, I get to go to work tomorrow, right? It's a gift that I get to do. So many people, unfortunately, don't have that, right? I have a gift to be able to go to earn a living to support my family. And when I'm there, I'm going to be, I don't work as though the person in the corner office is my boss. God is my boss. So I work and do my job to the best of my ability because I'm doing it for God who gave me this opportunity, right? And I'm showing my appreciation to him for being able to do this job. And it helps me have a different mindset, a more positive attitude, right? Zig Ziglar, attitude determines altitude. When you are at that water cooler or at that lunch table and all the coworkers are being negative or gossiping about this, that, or the other thing, and you step away, the Bible says we should be the salt of the earth, the light in the darkness, right? As Christians. And, when you're that person who can, kind of reset the tone or not engage in that type of behavior and be that positive attitude, it's refreshing to be around, right? And you step away at 5 o'clock or whenever your time in the office is done, and you don't feel beat up. You feel a greater sense of significance that you contributed value to a place, and you are thankful for the opportunity to having done that. So it just, for me, that that spirituality and that faith base that I have and I've been able to develop gives me a far better appreciation and makes me, you know, and deepens my commitment for the work I do.
Love that. Truly. And I don't know if there was a pun intended there, but people at the water cooler, it's like they try to get a refreshment from the drink itself, but the real refreshment is someone who comes over and shines that light.
Mhm.
No, that's key because it's bigger than yourself, both in the grand scheme of things, but also in regard to other people and spreading that love. No, great points. So yeah, go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, you know, there's a scripture in Ecclesiastes, I think, and it's I'm paraphrasing, but you know, whatever you choose to do it with gusto, right?
Mhm.
And if you're going to be a street sweeper, be the best damn street sweeper you can be, right? If you're going to be a police officer or a teacher or whatever the case, do it with gusto. You've been given the opportunity. It's a blessing. Go at it full bore, 100% commitment, right? And then, you know, it doesn't mean you need to stop there. You say, okay, this is what I'm doing now. It doesn't mean this is what I need to do 30 years from now or 10 years from now. So let me look for maybe other opportunities that exist. And, you know, if I pursue them, you know, ask, seek, knock, right? So if I ask the right people, if I seek these opportunities, I knock on the right doors, the things will open up to me. And then I can, you know, put myself in the position to be successful in that endeavor when it does come. But while I have this job, I'm going to be a positive light to everybody that I come in contact with.
Exactly. Yeah. To add to that, I think it's 1 Corinthians 31:10. It's like, whatever you do, whether you eat or drink, do it all for the glory of God. So it's like a lot of people may see certain situations and complain about it. I mean, you can complain or change. You could choose which one you want to do. But if you decide to change, that's positive momentum going in the direction that's, you know, positively affecting yourself and those people around you. But I think that point is key too. Like every single thing you do, words, actions, like it all truly does matter. Some people sweep it under the rug, certain things, like it's not a big deal. But when you treat everything as though it matters, people see those things. Like I know you're a dad, so I'm sure it's like kids, they see every move you make. So it's like those examples or those words you make, they take it all in. They're like sponges. So the same with salespeople or business people in your workforce.
Yeah, and it's not about perfection. No one's perfect, you know, but it's about trying to be the best version of yourself every single day. Right. And having that humility, you know, or that vulnerability to be able to say to somebody, hey, man, I'm sorry. You know, I screwed up the other day with that conversation and here's where I went wrong. And, you know, how can we fix it and how can we move past it? Right. So, you know, and sometimes, you know, when you're at that office and you're in that place and you're surrounded by people who aren't necessarily, you know, the most heavily into their spirituality and faith, you know, you might get, oh, that's that Bible guy, right? You know, you can't talk to him. He's not real. No, I'm as real as it gets. I've made some significant mistakes in my life, but you know what? I can't change them. They are what they are. I made them. They're done. You know, I've forgiven myself for the mistakes I've made. God's forgiven me for the mistakes I've made. All I can do is try to learn from it, not make the same mistake twice, and you know, move forward with what's in front of me today, because that's the only thing I can influence.
Exactly. And to that point, I wanted to leave you like a stage to talk about anything that you've been ruminating on, because I'm the one always asking the questions. But if there's anything you want to shine a light on, you can go ahead and do so. I know the last point was kind of that, but if there's anything else as well.
Yeah, no, I just think that, you know, first, I thank you for the opportunity to talk about these things here today. You know, but I've been blessed, you know, throughout my life, you know, and pretty much anything that I've kind of put my hand to has worked out. And, you know, without a heck of a lot of effort, you know, whether it be athletic endeavors, I was blessed with some pretty good athleticism and, you know, accomplished a lot in my athletic career before injuries took over. You know, academics, you know, going through college, achieving the degree I achieved, you know, I was able to do that really well, got into a good job, you know, advanced in my career, you know, and not only did I advance in responsibility, but also financially, and, you know, got met a wonderful woman, got married, going to be celebrating my 20th anniversary this year, had a couple of kids, You know,
Wow.
so, you know, I recognize and understand that I've led a blessed life. I really have. And the whole country has, you know, through COVID-19, the whole world through COVID-19, you know, have had significant issues over these past couple of years, right? And it's been very, very difficult on a lot of people. And, you know, just the one thing I kind of wanted to shed light on, or want to shed light on, is that it gets better, right? In that if you find yourself in a dark season, it's for a season. You know, the Bible talks about walking through the valley of the shadow of the death. You're going to be in it, but you will walk through it. You'll get through it. And no matter how bad the situation might look right now, it gets better day by day, minute by minute, sometimes second by second. But you got to have that right mindset to where whatever happened, happened. I can't change that at all. It does me no good to go back and try to fix it or make it different or continue it or whatever. It's done. And as hard as that is to do sometimes, especially in a relationship or what have you, it's done. You got to move on. You got to worry about yourself, and you worry about what you're doing today, because that's the only thing you can influence. Tomorrow will have its own problems. I can't worry about that.
Yeah.
And I can't worry about yesterday. You know, Eckhart Tolle says, focus on the now, right? So all I can worry about is today, and let me win today. Let me make, you know, do something today that is going to improve myself and my contribution to my family or my workplace. You know, how can I do something positive? One small thing to build upon today. And that's kind of what I want, you know, just to say in closing here today, is for the people that are still hurting, and there's a lot of them, is that don't give up. Mm-hmm. Don't give up at all. Stay strong, stay committed to yourself, your family, and everybody on this planet that is breathing right now is here for a reason and has a purpose. So hook into that and recognize that you are incredibly significant and you mean something in this greater scheme of thing called life, and things will be better in a short period of time. If in fact you're somebody who's open to considering, you know, faith as a cornerstone in your life, maybe that's something that's missing right now, you know, find a good Bible church and get into it. I'm not going to promote any one particular thing, you know, find one that works for you and get into there. And maybe that's the thing that's been missing. Just a piece of advice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. 2 direction points even to the focusing on now is Matthew 6:34 and Proverbs 27:1 just talks about not boasting about tomorrow, not worrying about tomorrow. Today's troubles are enough for today. So and that's the truth right there, capital T even. So I appreciate all those words, and I really, 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 really hope people see it, and a lot of people see it and soak this in, because it can go a really long way. So thank you for sharing all that.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.